If you're like me, you never leave the house without some pockets full of stuff or a nerd purse, all those important things you need out there throughout the day. And if you're like me, then one of those things is going to be a retro handheld. Something you can whip out anywhere, anytime to escape from reality for a bit and play some retro games while you should be focusing on doing boring adult stuff. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about. We're talking about EDC handhelds. EDC stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Everyday Carry, depending on how you want to interpret that. The kind of handhelds that make good choices if you want to carry one around with you all the time. Today I'm going to go over everything that makes a handheld good as an EDC handheld, and then I'm going to show you all of my top 5 picks for the best EDC handheld, and then tell you the good and the bad of each of them. Sort of a series of mini reviews from an EDC perspective. Some of these you've seen before on my channel and some of them are new, but all of them are great choices for EDC gear. Before we get into the thing, I would like to take a moment to say thanks to LitNXT for sending me all this stuff to review. I honestly couldn't make videos like this if they didn't. They're a good store with good prices, they have sales all the time, free worldwide shipping, and if you want any of these doodads, there's links to all of them in the description below. First, let's go over my criteria for what makes a handheld good for EDC and why some other popular handhelds aren't on this list. The main criteria for anything that is EDC is portability. If you're carrying this around all day every day, then it needs to be the kind of thing that can ride around in your pocket and be small enough that it's not annoying while it's there. There are some great, truly amazing devices like the RG35XX Plus that I love to bits, and they are very pocket friendly, but they're just a little too big and awkward to carry around all day every day. And another thing that's almost just as important as the size is the weight. That's why the 35XXSP isn't on the list. It's a great pocket-friendly travel device, but it's a bit too heavy for an EDC thing. Lighter is always better when it comes to EDC. Next, we have the battery. It needs to have a decent battery since there's no point in carrying something around if you can't use it very much throughout the day or if you need to charge it all the time. The Funkey S didn't make the cut because of the battery. That thing is tiny and super easy to carry around, but the battery on that only lasts about an hour and a half. All of the handhelds I'll show you today have decent batteries that will give you at least 4 hours of game time, usually much more than that. And finally, a device needs to be able to do lots of stuff. Obviously, you'll want something that's good not just for 1 or 2 systems, but as many as possible. That's why I don't have the RG Nano in this list. That thing is super pocket friendly and it would be very easy to carry around all day, but it's just not good for lots of the stuff that it can technically run. If I want to play GBA while I'm ootin' a boot, my EDC handheld doodad needs to be able to do that. And speaking of doodads, let's talk about the doodads, starting with the GKD Pixel. This is one that I got, but I haven't reviewed it yet because honestly, I'm not super into it. However, lots of people really like this thing and I can see why they do. It really is a beautiful object. It's got an all metal shell and buttons, and it's got a chiseled industrial vibe that makes it look like it's hewn from a piece of granite or something. It looks like a piece of EDC gear, so you can impress your EDC gear friends at the EDC soiree. This thing weighs in at around 110 grams and it is the smallest handheld on the list today. It's the same weight as the Miyoo Mini, but it's smaller, and because of the material, that makes it feel dense. That's one of the reasons that I don't really like it that much. It feels heavy for the size and it kind of flops around in the pocket. Here, let's do a test. Now? Yes. Oh my God, I told you. Okay. So, put it in your pocket. Okay. Yeah, good. And can you feel it clunking around in there? No? Well, you're not moving. Move around and see if you can feel it flopping around. Yeah, a little, I guess. See? Told you. It flops around. All right, give it back. Okay. It has a pretty terrible default operating system, but you can install a custom operating system called MinUI. That's what I have installed on here, and it works fine. It's not my favorite, but lots of people like it, so it's good that we have that. This thing can play everything up to and including PS1. That's fine for me, but if you want high-end 3D stuff, this isn't going to be a good choice. Ergonomics are a personal thing. Everyone's hands are slightly different, but this one just doesn't work for my hands for longer game sessions. The D-pad and the buttons are small, which can be fine, but the device itself is also small, so I find I can't really get a comfy grip on this thing when I'm playing action games. It's fine for slower sessions or shorter paced games though, for me. The screen is good, however it's pretty small. 2.4 inches, which is definitely on the micro side of things. It's a good screen, it looks good, and it has a high pixel density, but the problem with the screen and the main reason why I'd be hesitant to choose this over another option is that the screen isn't OCA laminated. It's got a very soft plastic film on there, so this would be pretty easy to scratch up if you toss it in a pocket with something else like your keys or whatever. The Pixel is a neat little device, and I could see lots of people liking it, and it would work well as an EDC doodad in many ways. It's just not better at being an EDC thing than the others that I'm going to show you. It is beautiful though, I'll give it that. I like having this just as an object on my doodad shelf. I painted the buttons orange, by the way, if you're wondering why mine looks amazing. This, dweebs and lady dweebs, is the Miyoo A30, and this is kind of a love it or hate it device. I'll be honest, at first I did not like it. However, LitNXT now sells this with a Spruce OS pre-installed, and that really helped me enjoy it more. And they also put on a good curated ROM set on here too, all set up and ready to rock, which is nice if you don't like to tinker. As you can see, this thing is a candy bar style doodad, which some people prefer. It's not my preference, but I wouldn't knock it for that. It's pretty thin and narrow, really very candy bar shaped, and it's light too. It's about 110 grams and it has a thumbstick, but because the stick is so low profile, it's very easy to slide in and out of the pocket, which is obviously important for an EDC doodad. In the pocket? Yeah, of course. That's what I'm paying you for. Yeah, I know, you just really didn't explain. Well, I'm freaking explaining it now. Put it in your pocket. Okay. Was that easy? What do you mean? Oh my God, forget it. Okay. I like the look of the A30. It definitely has a retro tech vibe, kind of mixing the old GBA micro with the NES aesthetic. Nice big D-pad and buttons, and they feel great. Inline bumpers and triggers that also feel good and don't get in the way for pocketability. This thing can handle some stuff too. Not only everything up to PS1, but it can also handle a decent amount of Nintendo DS and Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 and PSP. It's not a beast at that stuff, but you can play some of it, which is neat. The screen is nice. It has a 2.8-inch bezel-less display, and it's a decent size for a mini doodad with good pixel density and good brightness. However, just like with the Pixel, the screen is just a thin plastic film on there, so it would be very easy to scratch. One gripe I have is the speaker. It has a quiet, whiny hissing sound coming out of it constantly while it's turned on. It's not terrible, I usually don't even notice it, but sometimes I do, and that bums me out. I mean, this is a fine little device with a lot to like about it. It's just not one that I personally would choose over the other options. I know lots of people are into it, and if you like what you see, you'll probably be one of those people who like it, and if you don't, then you probably won't. Next up, we have the RG28XX, a doodad with a name so terrible that I gave it a better name, which is the Zazzbitty. I really like this handheld. Check out my full review if you want to know more about it. It's about the same size as the Miyoo A30, and it's about the same weight too. It's like 125 grams, so it's not the lightest, but it's still very light. It's also candy bar style, as you can see, and because we don't have any sticks or bumper hump protrusions, it's got a great low profile, and it is super pocket friendly. Do you want it back? Oh my God, why are you talking? You almost got it right. Sorry. You want me to do it again? No, we don't have time. You messed it up. The Zazzbitty is very comfy considering the size, and it just feels nice. Nice plastic, good weight distribution. I find it a lot more pleasant to hold than the Miyoo A30. The controls are great, however, they're a bit on the small side. Tiny little buttons and D-pad. I don't personally mind it, I can use it no problem, and I actually kind of like the size of the controls. Maybe it's just me, but I find them neat and fun to use. And they look good too. The screen is 2.8 inches, which is the same size as the Miyoo A30, but here it's OCA laminated, which is much more durable and isn't going to get dings and dents in it as easily. It's a beautiful screen, bright and crisp and clear. That's probably the best part about this thing, how good the games look. It comes with Amberlick's stock firmware that they use on their XX devices, which is good software. It works well. But like all XX devices, you can install custom firmware, and my favorite custom firmware, Newly, works amazing on here. You can even get it going with the all-new TechDweeb theme, which obviously makes this 1,000 times better. And I have a video about that if you want to know about it. And when it comes to the performance, the Zazzbitty is powerful. It is the smallest of the XX line of devices, but it can run the same stuff as the big boys. This thing can run most Dreamcast, most DS, and a ton of N64 and PSP. The Zazzbitty is a great device. Not as good as the next two, in my opinion, which is correct, but still amazing, and it's my top pick if you want a horizontal mini handheld, so it's got that going for it. And now we come to it, the TrimUI Brick or the Miyoo Mini. This was freaking hard to choose between them. I love them both so much, and they are both so good in their own ways. And ultimately, because they're so close, the true winner will depend on you. I can see lots of people picking the Brick and lots of people picking the Miyoo Mini. There's no wrong answer really, but I have to pick an ultimate winner, and yeah, I gotta give the win to the Miyoo Mini. And I'll tell you why in a bit, but first, let's give the Brick its time in the spotlight because you might be more of a Brick dweeb than a Miyoo Mini dweeb. The Brick is a slick little thing. It's small but not too small with a classy minimalist aesthetic that makes it feel more like a high-end device and sets it apart from the toy-looking DOODADS. This is the biggest of all the devices on this list and the heaviest. It's almost 160 grams, which is just barely within the limit of what I would consider good for an EDC device. But it does make the cut, and I can confidently say that I could carry this around in my pocket all day. Not just because of the weight, but also because it's just nice and flat. It's great for the pocket. Well, how does it feel? Wait, I thought you wanted me not to talk. No, that was for the last one. Oh, it feels good, I guess. Not too heavy? No. Not too big? No, it feels good. All right, good. This is also my personal favorite of all the EDC doodads in terms of comfort. It's got a great shape and everything is spaced out just right. TrimUI does good default software, or you can get a preloaded cross-mix SD card from Lit NXT, which is who sent this one to me. I showed this off in my video review if you want the grand tour. Or you can install Newly. Newly works on here and it works amazing. That's definitely what I'm going with. Performance-wise, you get about the same stuff as the Amberlick XX devices. So everything up to and including Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 and PSP. It's powerful for the high-end stuff and battery efficient for the low-end stuff, which is what you want in an EDC device. The screen is the best part about this thing. It's super high resolution for a screen of its size. But the reason that I think it works great as an EDC device is that it's a freaking tank. It's tough and dense with a metal backplate, and the components are all very flat, so it's not going to get snagged and break something. And it just feels like an EDC thing. I said as much in my video review, among all the other reasons that I love it, so check that out, link below if you want to know more about this thing. And we're finally here. My personal top pick for the best EDC handheld, it's the Miyoo Mini. You guys know I'm nuts about this thing. And it's got to be the winner here because, no word of a lie, I've been using this as my EDC device for the last 2 years, and I have no intention of stopping. This thing lives in my pocket. I take it with me everywhere I go. My mom calls it my emotional support Game Boy, and she ain't lying. I'm a nervous wreck if I don't have this thing with me. It's so small and light that I can put it in my pocket and not even notice it's there. It's only 104 grams, so it's the lightest doodad on the list, and it has no right to be as comfortable and enjoyable as it is considering how thin and light it is. It's not the most powerful device on the list. It maxes out at PS1, it can do a bit of Nintendo DS, but I don't mind that. I just care about the older stuff, and this plays everything that I could want when I'm ootin' a boot. I love the Game Boy vibes of this thing. It's truly the best mini Game Boy clone that captures all the retro aesthetics of the actual Game Boy. I've had lots of people see me with this and ask me what it is and are amazed when I tell them that yes, this is actually a Game Boy that has all the old retro games on it. It's just the right size to be super small and pocketable while still being comfortable to game on. At least for me. I know lots of people find the Miyoo Mini too cramped, and if you're worried about that, then maybe the Brick will work better for you because it's bigger, or the candy bar style doodads, but the Miyoo Mini is the perfect middle ground for me. The stock software, it's fine, it gets the job done, but there is a wonderful custom operating system for the Miyoo Mini called Onion OS, which is a clean and simple operating system that looks amazing, and yes, there's a TechDweeb theme for that too. And the best part about it, especially for EDC use, is that it is quick to turn on and off. If you're in a game, you can just hold down the power button and the device automatically saves your spot and shuts down, and then the next time you turn it on, it boots right back into your game nice and quick. Amazing feature for an EDC thing. And you can also get an Onion OS SD card from LidNXT if you buy this from them, which is an awesome system that they've put together with amazing ROM sets all set up for you and ready to rock. I made a whole video about it if you want to know more. I'm going to sound like a broken record, and for the kids in the audience, I'm going to sound like a TikTok that is left on repeat. This thing is not only my favorite retro handheld, it's my favorite thing in the world. It's the thing that I want with me everywhere I go, always and forever. There's lots of reasons that other people might prefer the other devices, but this is my video and I get the final say, so I'm calling it. The Miyoo Mini is the best EDC device. The Brick is pretty much just as good, so get that if you like the look of it better, but the Miyoo Mini takes the win for me. And the icing on the cake is that there is no handheld that I have that does better in the pocket than this one. Yeah, I know what to do. Oh, what, you think you're the expert now? Yeah, pretty much. See? Well, fine. If you're such a pro, then you could just run the whole frickin' show yourself then. Wait, what? Nope, I'm out. I can't deal with this. Should I? Hello there. I'm the host now, and I'm here to tell you about this thing, whatever it is. Some sort of Game Boy thing, I guess. How do we turn it on? Oh, neat. Ah, look at that. Whoa, what? This thing has Pokemon? Sick. Pokemon. Awesome.